I'm Old Snaylock. We've been working on the Swan Beam drilling machine, and today I need to do a cross bore in the shaft. Two reasons. One, it has to have a means to secure the drill bit in the end of the shaft, and two, I need to have a driver so that I can connect the faceplate to the part. That way when it's turning between centers, this bar will contact a bar coming out of the shaft itself, and that'll let me turn this shaft using the flywheel so that the whole arrangement goes in a circle like it's supposed to. That way I decide if I need to, I take it out, I put it back on the centers, and then it's driving again. So I need to put a cross hole in here. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the hand crank drill press, the Silver and Deming. Before I do that, I need to sharpen the drill bit. Kind of a wheels within wheels job, isn't it? The Silver and Deming drill press uses these special half-inch shank drive drill bits. Either that or else I have to put that keyless chuck in there. And I have a half-inch shank drive drill bit that's a 5/16 diameter, which is the root diameter for drilling a 3/8 threaded hole, 3/8 coarse thread hole. And that's the set screw that I'm going to be using. It's a 3/8 coarse thread. So by using this nifty little drill bit that I happen to have here in the old time drill, I'm going to be able to bore that cross hole in there, make the driver for the part and the set screw all at the same time. Kind of elegant. Before I can use the drill, I need to sharpen the drill bit. It's an antique, it's been around a long time, and it is very, very dull. Also ground at the wrong angle. A couple of basic errors on this drill bit. The trailing edge is higher than the leading edge. You can see the bevel on this edge is totally incorrect. Also, the way they have the angle done on the drill bit, this hook is trying to drag its way through the steel. There's no sharp edge there to do any cutting. Same thing there. So I'm going to resharpen and reshape the edge on this drill bit so that it'll cut again. It's one of the first things I learned to do. Didn't learn it as a tool maker, I learned it as a kid in my garage with my dad showing me how to do it. We did a lot of hole drilling. Dad was an electrician. So we drilled holes in beams, we drilled holes in steel and boxes and wood and all kinds of things, and a lot of it was with a hand drill or with a handheld power drill. And if I tried to shove this drill bit through a piece of steel, I would spend a long time standing there pushing and watching it rub its way through. It might cut, but it wouldn't do a good job. With the hand crank drill press, because of the way it's designed, it has a tremendous amount of down force from that screw. And even with this poorly ground bit, you might be able to stuff it through a piece of cheap steel or definitely cut through a piece of wood, but it won't do it elegantly. When I'm done, we'll be able to slice through that piece of steel like nobody's business. This is a 5/16 drill bit. It was made by the Morse Drill Company. One of the things you always want to have when you're sharpening a drill bit, whether it's a new one or an antique like this one, is plenty of water. You want to keep the temperature down on this drill bit. It's carbon steel. Carbon steel is hardened by heating and quenching and then tempering. The tempering raises the temperature of the steel to the point where the material starts to soften a little bit, and then you quench it and that locks it at that hardness. So I want to keep the same hardness, so I'm going to try and keep the temperature down on this as I sharpen it. There's a few things you need to do with a grinding wheel before you do anything else. You need to make sure that the tool rest is secure and that the spark guard is secure on the top. If this wheel breaks, I want it to stay inside this housing. Then I need to make sure that the grinding wheel is in good shape. Now this one's been mounted on the drill. I've been using it for a number of years, but I still want to take a look to make sure that nobody's come along and whacked it. In my shop, not very likely to have happened that I wouldn't know about it. But if you're out using somebody else's grinding wheel, if you see chips or dents or dings in it, walk away. Get a different one. Now, I want to be able to sharpen this across the face of the wheel. That means the wheel has to be straight and square. So I'm going to use this dressing stick, which is really a piece of carborundum grinding wheel in the form of a square block. It's about 1 inch square, maybe 6 inches long. You can buy these at hardware stores and you can get them online. What I'm going to be doing is just run this across and square up the face of the wheel. It does a couple of things. One, it gets rid of any dips or divots in the wheel so that when I'm grinding I'm going to get a straight face. And two, it sharpens the wheel. It tears out the dull stones that are embedded in the matrix there and brings up clean, sharp stones to the face, so that when I'm cutting with sharp stones. Sharp stones cut faster and cooler. I want to keep my drill bit temperature down. So dress the wheel, then sharpen the bit. Once I've got the wheel dressed, I'm going to want to hold this drill bit so that I'm at about a 30-degree angle. There's a lot of back and forth in the precise, perfect drill angle. I like to go about 30 degrees. When you're drilling into a piece of steel, the edges are supported. That's a good angle for a drill bit. Over the years, I've stopped even looking. I just know what it's supposed to be. I'll put some notes in the description to the proper sharpening angles so that you guys can do it exactly according to the book. This is the way I do it. Works for me. Everybody has different opinions. That's why there's horse races. I want to hold the drill bit up to the stone at the proper angle. I'm going to hold the face of this cutting edge so that it's square to the wheel, and I can see that as I go across that the wheel is making a square cut. Then once I have that established, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to sharpen the drill bit by sharpening the edge and then rolling up. Sharpen the edge and then roll up. A couple of times on one side, a couple of times on the other side. Check it, make sure that the web is centered. If I need to, I'm going to go back and do it again. Now, this one's been sharpened badly, so it's going to take a lot of chopping. Normally it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, and you're done. Because if you keep track of your drill bits and you sharpen them correctly and you take care of them, they're not going to get dull that fast, and when they are dull, it's going to be minor dull. Sharpening a drill bit that's very slightly dull is a lot less work than one that's been beat to pieces, and you try and drill it on through the steel and you end up burning the drill bit, take the temperature out of it, and have to chop off a ½ inch to get back to good steel. We want to avoid that. So let's get started. First, turn on the wheel, stand off to the side. If it's going to break, it's going to break right now. Okay, now that I've got the wheel up and running, I'm going to dress it. And all I'm going to do is just take this stone and rub it across. Doesn't take any more than that. If you have to go at it any heavier than that, you've not been taking care of it correctly. Now I hold my drill bit in my hand. I want to be able to hold it and rotate it. Now why am I not wearing gloves? Well, lots of reasons. The reason I like to think of it is while I'm holding it in my hand, if it's getting warm on my fingers, it's time to put it in the water. So I'm going to hold the drill bit at the proper angle, put it up against the stone, 1, 2, quench. Flip it over, catch the other angle, 1, 2, quench. Now I've dressed off just the very point of it, but I've still got a lot to go. 1, 2, quench. 1, 2, quench. Do you need to quench it that often? It's up to you. It's your drill bit. Me, I kind of like to have them, especially since I only have 2 of these, and it's the only 2 that I've seen in 63 years. So I'm thinking they're kind of rare. One, 2, quench. 1, 2, quench. Now we're starting to get a drill bit that looks more like a drill bit. Now I'm resting my fingers on the tool rest, using that as a fulcrum. 1, rotate it, 2, quench. I think we're pretty good. Let's get a look at it under the light. The leading edge is higher than the trailing edge on both sides. This edge is sharp, comes to a point right there on that edge. Same thing on this side. Ready to drill. I'm going to drill a hole 7/8 of an inch from the end. When I get that hole drilled and put a bolt in it, I'm going to be too short, so I'm going to have to adjust the length on this. But I have quite a bit of thread on there, so I'll be able to drive it out and then just run that set screw, or that locking nut, up there. I'm going to drill this hole and tap it for a 3/8 coarse thread, and with a bolt in there coming out and contacting this bolt, I'll have a driver so that I can spin this and turn this shank down. I'm going to leave this to full size. That'll be the last thing that I do. I'll spin it around. This will be smaller. When I get this shank part turned down, this part will be smaller, and I'll use a collar type driver on it so that I can slip that over, lock it down with a set screw, and drive it off of this without damaging or having to drill a hole in the shank. Now I have my area marked. Take the center punch, nice little dent mark in there. Loosen up, take it over to the drill press and set it up. The shank on the drill bit has a flat spot in it, goes up against the set screw.
Have you subscribed yet?
I'm taking the drill bit down until it just touches, scratching it across. I can be certain that that is on the top of the shaft, so that when I drill the hole, it's straight down through. Okay, I have my drill bit in contact with the part. I'm ready to crank.
If you enjoyed the video, please take a moment and click the thumbs up.
I am being a poor caretaker of my tools. I was supposed to oil all these shafts, one drop, before I started. Check to see how far down in I am. Not very from what I imagined. How about that? I'm halfway through. That's exactly where I wanted to stop. .5/16 diameter hole. Now all I have to do is tap it to 3/8.
Thanks for watching.